Welcome everyone back to Thursday Live. Definitely need a new name for this, so maybe we'll have a contest. We'll do some sort of contest to come up with a snappy name for the Thursday afternoon live or the Thursday evening live for the UKers. So welcome. I'm Steve Leahy. Thursdays are all about just kind of doing whatever is going on in the shop or in the studio. And I have three really great commissions, really four great commissions going on right now. I've just finished one of them. So I was at a spot where I was about to start the next one. And I figured what I'd do is this Island Creek painting. This painting has been going on for just about 2 years now, which is pretty common with paintings that I do for myself. That don't have a commission attached to them. They tend to get pushed aside when something else comes up. So this painting has been pushed aside a lot, but it also has the disadvantage of needing a whole ton of hours in it as well. So those two things combined, this guy just kept getting pushed to the back. I am so psyched about the way this painting is coming out. I'm really, really happy. And I just kind of got a push to kind of get it done now. So we're going to sneak this one in between the other commissions, and that's what we'll be working on today. So I've been putting some hours into it over the last few days, and I'll show you that in a minute, and that's where we're at. I got a little bit of show and tell. I'll show you a few of the paintings that are left over from the Monday night feed, and then we'll get right into it. So yeah, so that's what I got. All right, hold on. Let me switch around, and we'll get going. All right, let's see. First off, we can get some comments here. There we go. Honey, hello, honey. I hope you're feeling better. Teresa, what is happening? Tone, what's up, man? Cody, what's going on? And Franz, what's happening? All right. Yeah, so I do. I need a good name. And after Honey's, all Honey's name suggestions last night on Kelly Aubert's feed, I'm expecting good things. We don't need them today, but just guys, keep that in the back of your head that we need a good name for the Thursday live thing. So, all right. So this is the copy of the Island Creek painting. We'll get to that in a second. Let me just show you guys there are 3 paintings left from Monday. 2 of them are gone, but 3 of them are left. And these are all on my site. So if you're interested in one of these, you can grab these. Just go to stephenleahy.com, and they're right on the front page. So there were 3 left. The first one was the Saturn painting. These are all now in the sleeves. When I show them on Monday night, they're not in the sleeves, but after Monday, I package them up to keep them safe. So they come in the mat and everything. So that is Saturn. And these are for those who don't know, these 543s, I do 5 a week, and they're 4 by 3 inches, which is where the name comes from. And so these are designed to be really quick paintings, and I get the ideas for these from suggestions given by people who are watching the feed. So on Monday night, they give their suggestions, and then the following week, I use all those suggestions, pick 5, and then use that list, and one of those people is randomly drawn to win one of the paintings. So that's how it works. So that is Saturn, and that's called Golden Age. So Saturn is the god of prosperity and is kind of attributed for the golden age of the Romans. The next one is called Nightmare Fuel, and this one is of the DART spacecraft, I guess it's what it is. It's not really a satellite, more like a spacecraft that was used to impact a passing asteroid to see if NASA and SpaceX could do it, and then B, they're going to kind of watch what happens to that little asteroid. They're looking to see if they can change its trajectory. So hopefully in the future to stop a direct impact with Earth. So that's fun. This one has gold leaf on it. You can see kind of light up there. And then finally is, I couldn't remember the line for the life of me last Monday, but it's the name of this one is "It Can't Rain All the Time," which is the big quote in The Crow. So this is of course Brandon Lee in The Crow. So those are the 3 543s that are left. The other one, the 2 that are gone are I did an Iron Man, which was 23 karat gold leaf, and I also did a Moonshine Still, which was also 23 karat gold leaf. So there we go. Yeah, honey, you just were on fire with that. That was hilarious. So what it was Kelly Aubert, great artist from Canada, does a feed a few times every week on Facebook, and he was doing a Halloween themed piece, and there were a bunch of gravestones. So he was asking the Peanut Gallery for suggestions for names for the gravestones, and Honey was just on fire. Let me actually start back here with this. Hold on. I'll give you the kind of the full view of the painting, because I've been doing a lot on it. Can't do that because that's right in my face. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. See if I can focus this a little bit. Okay. So this is the photocopy. This is how the painting is coming out right now. And actually, let me tag this back. I can take the photocopy off, but I'm not going to because it's lined up right now. And we want to leave it lined up so I can finish working on it. I'll show you the bottom corner. This is mostly what I've been doing over the past few days. So this whole section wasn't done a few days ago. So I've been just kind of working on that. Let me see if I can do this as well. Maybe I can get comments over here. Yes, I can. If I get comments over here, that's a little bit better. There we go. Thanks, honey. There we go. So basically I had to finish all the, from here basically down is what I've done in the last 2 days. And really that's not, I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's really not a whole lot of real estate, essentially. So it's why this painting has been taking so long. It's just to do one area of it just takes a ton of time, which is perfect. I don't mind. This painting is, it's going to be one of those hinge paintings that I talk about. So for a lot of reasons. So what we'll do tonight, if you're in Greenwich Mean Time, is I'm just kind of, what I did is I kind of came around the corner and then I started back up in here. We're going to kind of be working in this little area right in here or down here. I'll just be kind of floating around. That's how I've been doing it. So works out pretty well. Yeah, and then once this little horseshoe shaped right here, this is easily the most involved part of the painting. Once this is done, this painting is almost done. So I'm really planning on having this painting done for this week sometime. And then the plan is to bring it back to Massachusetts, have it photographed and or captured by Madison Editions. And then I'll get it cleared from Hanson, Keith Hansen shop, because I'll be right there. And then from there, once it's captured by Madison Editions, this will be a print, a giclée print, and then I'll also be able to make cards from it. So it'll be kind of a little bit of everything. This painting will be available. However, this is going to be one of those paintings that I don't expect, well, not that I don't expect to sell, but it's one of those things that it's going to be the most valuable painting I've ever done. And that limits the pool of collectors a little bit. So, you know, it's going to need to find the right home for the original to go anywhere. I'd be fine just keeping it too. Because again, this painting represents a lot. It represents not only the work, the hours involved, but also this is the first really big painting of Ohio since I've moved. So, you know, personally it means something too. So anyway, not to get too far into that, but that's what we got. All right, what do we got? All right, good. All right, so I've got everything set up. The wet palette, which, let me turn that on. There we go. So the wet palette right here is I'm just about ready to change out this parchment. If you go and watch the YouTube channel for Tech Tuesday, I talk about this palette again. The parchment is just about ready to be changed out, only because it's basically covered with paint. There's no more room for more paint. But there's a lot of great mixes on here, so I'm trying to get the most out of it before I actually have to swap this out. For those interested, I have to do some driving around this afternoon, so the cheers today is coffee. So cheers to you all with that. Dunkin' Donuts. Yay. Thank you, honey. Yes. Honey brings up a good point. Don't forget to like and share, and click that notification bell, the bell icon, so that you get notified. I mean, I'm going to be going live every Thursday. It's going to be a set thing at 1, so it's not like you won't know. But in case I do jump on at various times, I will give you the heads up that I'm on. And I am really, 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 I want to get the YouTube channel up to the speed of both my Instagram and Facebook pages, so that I can, if and when the time ever comes to do the live feeds all on YouTube, I'll be ready to go. Facebook has been just horrible lately, so yeah, I could see that as a possibility somewhere down the road. So I want to make sure that the YouTube channel is up to speed. So yes, like Honey said, like and subscribe. All right, for those who haven't seen me work on this, what it is, it's basically it's a direct, I'm using the photocopy of the photo that I had taken, the printout of the photo I had taken, and it's a 1-to-1. So I printed out the image 1-to-1, and I'm just using that to kind of lay everything out. And what I do is I use kind of a persistence of vision trick. So I'll look at the print is lined up perfectly with the painting right now on top. I'll just look at it for a second, then I'll flip it out of the way, and then put in whatever I need to put in. That's a large reason why this painting is being done so accurately, is because I can really say, okay, there's a branch right there, and then kind of stare at it for a second, and then immediately put it right in where it should go. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's just like if you're working from nature, you look up at something, get it burned in your head, then look down at your canvas and then put it in. This is just it's a much quicker transfer between what you see and what you put down. So that's it. How long does that parchment actually last? Honey, I saw you ask that the other day and I missed that question. So the parchment is actually very durable. I've dug into this. I put like a drop of paint on, and I've really kept going over it with the paintbrush, pulling paint off and over again. So it's really been really durable. So the parchment, I don't know if it has a kind of an expiration on the palette. The only thing that happens with me is I run out of space. I put paint all over it, and then I have to throw it out and start again, so I have some more room. So that's really it. And they give you red grass, they give you 50 sheets. So I got this again in January, I think, late January, early January of this year, and I haven't gone through 50 sheets yet. And you guys know I paint all the time. So so yeah, it's been great. All right, so what I'm going to do, let's see. This has been fun because I've really been kind of working this since I came around the corner here. I've been kind of working the whole area. So there is no real, I'm not just strictly kind of moving across this. I'm just kind of bouncing around now. And that's been fun. So I'm going to grab some black. I have 2 blacks on the palette. One is a kind of a bluish black. The other is a brownish black. And I don't have to tell you how I made those because it's brown and black or blue and black. So this one's the brownish black one now. And the only reason I say that to you guys is you won't really be able to see it because it's just going to look black. But that way you'll know what's going on. So the reason for the 2 is anywhere where I'm doing these dark areas or on the rocks. In Ohio, there's a lot of clay. And so there's this clayish kind of silt that's everywhere. And that's covering all this, and that's kind of a brownish color. So that's what's going on here. However, where the water is reflecting like up in here, just, basically the shadow is reflecting off the top of the water, that's a real bluish black, and those are the 2. So, Mike, what is going on, man? Skull Squad in the house. All right, so I don't know how close we want to get here, but we'll leave it here for a second and see how it goes. So that's what it is. So it's a lot of just kind of staring at it and then flipping it up and putting the stuff in where it goes. I was talking about this a lot when I was working on this. This is the kind of painting that, does every little stone have to be in exactly the right spot for it to be believable? Absolutely not. And that's, that would be a different painting. If I were to just kind of do this, not abstract, but more suggestive and, just kind of like, okay, there's snow right there or a rock right there. I'll just throw in something and, And in the end of the day, it'll look great. It'll look fine. It'll look just as believable as any other painting. But for this painting, I really wanted to kind of be one for one. I wanted to really take the time and kind of get into this painting and explore every detail. So to do that involves, for me, that involves making sure everything is one to one and exactly the way it is in the reference photo. So that's what I mean. There's a lot of flipping back and forth and just kind of putting things in where they should be. And for me, like I said, for me, painting is telling a story. So nature showed me this story when I took the photograph, and I want people to experience it the way I saw it exactly, and then let them have their feelings about it from there. That's my goal. So I don't want to tell you what to feel. I just want to show you the information and have you enjoy it or dislike it or whatever. You have those feelings on your own, but I'm just giving you the story that was told to me. So that's the idea. Oh, Mike, thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Like I said, I'm on fire to get this done now. It's time. This painting, when it's not being worked on, it's sitting next to my other painting station. I have a workbench next to the other painting station, and there's a small table easel, and this painting's been sitting on there when it's not being worked on. Actually, I'm going to get you guys closer so you can see kind of what's going on. So I see it all day. I see it all day, every day, and it's like, oh, I got to get that done. Plus, I mean, from a strictly business point of view, let's see how close I can get you guys. From a strictly business point of view, this painting represents future revenue, and it can't sit around undone. It needs to get finished. So, just from that point of view, it really needs to get done. All right, let's see what we got here. See if I can get you guys a little closer to where I'm working. There we go. Yeah, that's probably better. Oh, yeah, honey. So that's it. So honey brings up the next point. So what I'm going to be doing is, I said this on the other feed too, and I might have said it when I was working on it here too. I I rarely get holiday cards out because, I don't know, it always seems to be like a good idea, and then I just never get to it. But this year I really would like to, especially since I'm here at the new studio in Ohio. So I thought, what better than to celebrate the new studio in Ohio, which it really has been 2 years now, but still, better way to celebrate than to send out, holiday cards to everyone on my mailing list. So it's really easy to get on the mailing list. Just go to StephenLeahy.com. I promise I am not like American Solar or Famous Footwear, and as soon as you sign up, you're going to get blasted by 1 million emails every day. I maybe send out 6 a year tops. But anyone who's on the mailing list that has an actual physical address on there, customers and things like that, we're going to try to get a holiday card out too. So that's what we'll do. Awesome. What else? Yeah, so it's funny, when I start doing paintings like this, I just kind of get lost, and then it's neat because it's a good time for me to kind of like go over all kinds of things in my head because I'm really just painting on autopilot. So a lot of good plans for upcoming things kind of happen while I'm working on stuff like this. It's a really good time for me, it's just relaxing, I guess. So that's a big part about this painting too. If I was trying to just get this painting done, I would seriously lose my mind. I would just be aggravated and anxious, and I'd start cutting corners because it's got to get done and all this stuff. But because it doesn't, I mean, it does have to get done, but it doesn't have to get done by any particular time frame. It just becomes almost therapeutic in a way, which is nice. Now, if you guys do have any questions, please feel free to ask. Again, Thursdays are not as much, jump around days like Monday, the Monday feed where we're giving paintings away and doing all kinds of stuff. You guys are just really, again, you're hanging out with me while I work. So, oh, the other thing too, speaking of hanging around with me while I work, the new Harley painting episode dropped today on the YouTube channel. So if you get a chance, each episode there is only a half an hour long, which is nice. It's bite-sized pieces. But that painting is crazy involved as well, that rusty Harley. There's so much that goes into that rust color, but it's coming out nice. Exactly, honey, you got it. That's exactly it. And you know what? With this painting, I don't know, like the stuff that's going on here in the water, and then right around here where you can start to see the rocks in at the bottom of the stream bed. If there are a lot of corners cut, that's not going to read right, and I definitely don't want that. So yeah, so we're just going to kind of keep going on it and picking at it till it's dead. And this is 8x10, which is nice. When I have this printed, the print will come in a little bit smaller than 8x10, so it can be framed. Like I said, I'm definitely doing G-Clay prints, which will be exactly, Madison has absolutely killed it with the quality of their prints. So it's going to be really good. I know it. And then, like I said, I'll do the holiday cards, but then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually offer the cards as well. So you'll buy them in like a pack of 10 or 12 or whatever. Now that being said, I don't know that I can get those out so that you guys can use them for this year, but I'm trying. So that's the goal. It's going to depend on how fast I can get this captured and printed. But I'm confident. So those will go on the website. There's a special department on the website for miscellaneous things. So that's going to be kind of the home for this kind of stuff. I feel like I'm doing all the talking. Chris, yeah, absolutely. And what's nice about it is the prints, I do the prints by, the cost of the prints is simply by the cost to produce them by size. So what's nice is you get a super high quality G-Clay print, but because all my paintings are basically small, they're not that expensive. All the small prints that I have now are only about $20. I'm expecting this one to be about $40 to $50 right in there when it's all said and done. Golden Yarmouth, which is one of the bigger prints, it's 5x8-ish. That's about $40, so I'm expecting this one to be close to that. I'm thinking about 50-ish. But again, we'll see what it is when it finally comes in from Madison. But yeah, I hope you guys do it. Enzo, what's up, buddy? So again, anyone joining late, I need a name for the Thursday feed. So we may do is if you guys suggest it and I choose, one of your suggestions, we'll find a cool gift for you. Maybe a print. So we are full on at fall here. So my anxiety level is going up as all the leaves are falling, and we have a decent sized yard and a lot of trees, and it's just going to mean one of my least favorite things in the world is dealing with leaves. So I like fall. I joke with Marge's youngest daughter all the time that I don't like fall because, it involves a lot of work, but I do like the season. I just don't like the leaves. Oh, Enzo, that's awesome. I'm glad you got your 543. That's very cool. So, yeah, Chris Garcia actually got the moonshine painting. So, actually, Chris, you should see that probably tomorrow if you don't see it today. And then Patty Chadwick's, the whole point of Monday's feed, Patty Chadwick, I accidentally sold her first painting that she had won. So we redid the painting for her. So hers goes out tomorrow. I had to clear that, and I usually give that a day or two to really cure. So She'll get that probably next week, finally, after all that time. So this is still that brownish black, and if you notice in the reference, see all the little trees and branches and everything? That's kind of what I'm doing now. It's, if you notice the back where the reflection of the water is, it's a little bit darker than what I have, because what I'll be doing is eventually with this, I'll be going over this with an airbrush and using the same brown black or blue black, and just kind of tying this together and then adding highlights. So it's a neat thing, and I talk about this in the Open Studio. The difference, what really makes these paintings just a whole different animal is live. You see those layers, you see those paint layers, almost like stained glass. It gives the painting an incredible depth that's hard to describe. So when you see it live, it's a totally different animal, even than the giclées. The prints are beautiful, but the prints are printed like any printer would do. So it mixes the colors and sprays those colors on in one layer, basically. This has multiple layers that are just layered on top of one another, which would make them layers, but you get the idea. So when this is cleared, this painting has a completely different look than anything else that could in the reproductions or the pictures online or whatever. So it's a lot of fun. Triple Threat Thursday. That's cool. Oh man, I don't know. I don't want to do Thursday afternoon live or Thursday evening live, since this is really the GMT version. But we'll come up with something, some cool name for it. So I ran out of reducer again, surprisingly, which is crazy. So usually I feel like I can get a long time out of all this stuff because all the paintings are small. But I think just the 543s kind of ramping up the way they have. I've been going through a lot of reducer, so that was a surprise. Fortunately, we have a Hobby Lobby nearby, so I was able to kind of run over there and get some emergency supplies before I had to order. Because I usually order the larger sizes. But yeah, that's always fun when you run out of reducer. It's not too much you can do around it. Like in a pinch, like if I had to work and I had no reducer, I would airbrush again with the 4012, which I have, but that opens up a whole bunch of other issues. And then reducing with water is crazy because it's not going to airbrush right. And I don't care. Mike knows it. Just there is no homemade reducer that will work with Createx the right way. It's just not. Actually, a lot of you guys and girls know. It's a pretty unique animal, that reducer. So I don't mess with screwing around with that at all. Open Studio. The only problem with that, honey, is the Open Studio is the Harley painting. That's I call that Open Studio. So I don't want to do the live the same way to get them confused, because they actually have different. You can search both on that, which is what I love about YouTube. I can assign these things to different channels, so that there'll be an Open Studio, and you can actually pull up every single Open Studio video just by itself. You don't have to fish through a million videos, or even worse with Facebook, you don't have to fish through a million posts as well as videos. So this one pops up just as live streams. If you go to the home page here for this channel, if you click on the live streams, all the live streams will kind of show up. Make sure you guys are still in the same spot. Yeah, you are. Awesome. Yeah, honey, that's awesome. Or come up with some snappy British name, since this is inspired by all my UK friends that were staying up all night to watch the Monday feed. Or maybe it doesn't even need a name. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much because, you know, that's never happened before. So really what should have happened, and just from a abuse standpoint, I really should have done this alcove first and then moved across, because as soon as I go to put my hand on this to work on this part, like here, even with the glove on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub off this edge. It's because it's just, I mean, as much as I, you know, spray it or whatever, it's fragile. The paint is really thin on the edge, and it's just a hard edge there. So even just a you know, like a rubbing back and forth with the glove works like sandpaper on the edge. It's not massively, that's a huge problem for this edge because there's so much going on and it's easy to touch it up, but I'm constantly touching it up. So if I had done this section first and then moved across, by the time I got to here, I would have finished this and then it would have been done. So there's that. But I was just having so much fun as I was coming down this corner that I just kept going and did it all. Overthinkers Anonymous. It's perfect. Yeah, you guys will be able to see a little bit of everything, because I'll get to the point on this corner here we're going to have to pull out the airbrush, so you'll get to see that too. And like I said, it's just a blending of each. Hopefully you can see it before I cover it all up. But see how they're like those lighter brown, like the stones? I'm starting to put those in now. And then when I get to the airbrush part, like up in here, you can see kind of what happened. I have those brown areas. This one is actually sticking out of the water, but this one is underneath the water. So this one has some airbrushing on top of it. Same thing with this guy here, and there's a few others as you roll up this stream here. This one's out of the water here, but you get the idea. So these are kind of both in underneath the water and above the water. So that's what I do. I kind of pop them in first and then airbrush over them. And again, it's the layering that really makes it look the way it's supposed to look. So. Brown. This is still that brownish black. Because what's nice is these are the reflections of the branches in the water. And you may wonder, if you haven't yet seen it, I'm putting wet paint down and then immediately putting the paper back on top of it. So yes, if I flip this over, you can see all the little droplets of wet paint. That doesn't make a mess on the painting, because when I put this back down, that wet droplet is immediately, it's exactly lined up where it came off. So it never smudges, unless I slide this, which I can't because it's attached, it's magnets are holding it. I'll never get any kind of smudging. So even though I'm pulling off paint on the back of this, it's not that much. So just so you, like I said, if you're wondering why there isn't paint being squished all over the place by flipping this back and forth. And this paint dries really quick too. So by the time I move on and flip this, it's almost dry anyway. So Throwdown Thursdays. It sounds like the WWF. I love it. What I'm waiting for is a day drinking Thursday. So like I said, I got to do some driving around today. So there's no cheers in the afternoon today, no day drinking today. But I think next Thursday, since Marge will be at school. Marge is cranking at school. She's been going nuts. So she'll be at school. Marge's girls will be with their dad. So I'll be just solo here. So maybe next Thursday we'll do cheers while I'm painting. We'll do some day drinking. It's always fun. Yeah, I've got some fun commissions coming up. One is a Christmas present. Really can't show you that, obviously, because, it would be ruin the surprise for the person giving it. One is I'm doing another guitar, which is really going to be fun, and I think that one I can show you as I'm working on it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That one's the last one of the commissions that have come in. And there's no time limit on that one either. So I probably won't get to that one until the end of the year. But I'll keep you guys and girls up on that one as I go. Oh, and then I mean, it's not really a commission. It's more of just something for my sister. I got to get my dad's painting done too. So all those things you'll probably, well, most of them, you'll see here on the Thursday feed, because those are things that I'll need to do, during the day. And then sooner or later, I'm going to need to do some 543s, and I don't mind showing off one of them for Monday here. That seems to be fun. So we'll do that too. That's it, throwing down some paint. I love it. So if you've never tried this flippy thing, you should. If you're looking for a really accurate way to kind of get stuff down, this works. I'll show you this real quick, because I do this sometimes too. So say it just, I mean, I'm using it with paint, right? But you can also grab a piece of paper here. Hold on. This works too. Say I want to transfer, like I want to like get this image onto like a blank sheet, like these little snowballs in the water here. So you can use the same thing with a pencil too. So what you do is you kind of stare at it for a second, and then you start moving it, and then what you do is you only put a little bit of it down at a time, because you want that, like I said, you want that persistence of vision. Because what's happening is, as soon as I pull this away, for a split second I still see it. So if you need something really accurate, you can use the same technique, and it works out really well. I mean, what's also nice is too, if you don't need it perfectly accurate, you can also just kind of use the technique to just kind of sketch it in as well. And when you're done, it even though you're just kind of sketching it, it really is pretty accurate to what the original photo is. So this is a great thing if you're having trouble with a portrait and you have your reference photos 1-to-1. It's really nice. I do use this a lot with portraits. So it's really nice to, like, say, for instance, say this was the nose, and you have like the nose like out here. It's really nice to be able to say, okay, put that right where it's supposed to be on the nose, and then flip it up and see, how far your drawing is or painting is off from the original photograph. And believe me, if you do it enough times, even, you can even do it fast too, like a cartoon. And you'll see it. You'll see where you're off on the drawing or the painting. It's a really neat trick. Not really trick. It's actually, like anything. It's just one more technique. But yeah, I use it a lot. Oh, as I'm knocking stuff over, yay. Okay. Let's switch it up here a little bit. I'm going to jump to the white, just to kind of reestablish, since I got white on the brain now, just reestablish some of these little snowballs. Plus, a lot of these down in here I hand painted in, or painted in with a paintbrush. And this paint doesn't cover very well when you paintbrush with it. It covers better with an airbrush, which seems odd. It would seem like it would cover better with a paintbrush. It's just that the paintbrush lines up all the little molecules of paint as you're spraying it, just really puts them in the right position, and it covers really well. This becomes very streaky when you paint with it. So to get rid of that streakiness, you have to reduce it out a lot, and then it doesn't cover at all. So it's, so what I have to do is, when I hand paint them in to get them in the right spot, like I just did, I'll go over them again with the airbrush. That's what this whole section is. This is why this is so pristine and white, because I went over this with the airbrush. It was, I don't have a spot, but like kind of over here, it's kind of dirty from paint splashing and stuff like that. No, Enzo, the new gloves are sitting in the shopping cart for Amazon. I have 2 left, 2 clean ones. And I need those for for dealing with the museum glass, so I can't steal those yet. I just got to get the order in for the cotton gloves. I know it seems stupid, but it's just one of those things. I haven't finished that order yet. But as soon as I do, the gloves that I'm using for the glass right now will be my new painty gloves. So I'll cut the fingers off and just kind of go with that. Yeah, another thing I'm surprised I ran out of. All right, so the next thing I have in the brush now is kind of like a really bluish gray. And this is just adding those highlights back in. Do I want to do this? Yeah, I do want to do this. I was going to say this. What I'd want to do is use the airbrush before I do this particular step, but I've already got all the airbrushing kind of locked in this section, so I can put these highlights back in now. And I use the same reducer with the paintbrush as I do with the airbrush. It's 4011. And it works really well. I have, in some cases, you can't really see it. It's along this coast, I guess. I have used a little bit of 4050 just to make a transparent mix. What I did was when I resprayed this white, I got a little bit of overspray on it. So instead of breaking out the airbrush and putting like a black in it or whatever, I just used the paintbrush with 4050 and it had a real transparent, like black, bluish color, and I just went along that edge to clean up the overspray. Yeah, we are full on fall here. The deer are going nuts. Last night was a full moon. We have a lot of deer around here. There's a lot of cornfields that are bordered by trees. That seems to be the rule of thumb around here everywhere. So deer love all that. And so we get a lot of deer. And the neighborhood that we're in, our street is surrounded by cornfields. So there's also the stream too. And the one thing deer love is food and water. So they love this stream, and we get a lot of, I mean, it's just, we call it deer highway across the street because it's just constant. So now they're in the rut and they're all getting freaky, so yeah, they're everywhere. As long as they leave, we planted 3 peach trees this year, so we have 3 baby peach trees, and we've had to like hose it down with deer repellent because they're exactly at the right height right now for a quick snack. So when we first put them in, they stripped all 3 of them just clean, so we're trying to keep that from happening, but it's working. The spray is nice. It's keeps them off of it and doesn't hurt them at all. It just makes them not want to take a bite. Slinging Paint Thursdays. Now you guys are doing it. Thank you. Yeah, love it. But I really do. I appreciate you all being here. And for those who are watching this after the fact, thank you so much for jumping in and watching it and hanging out. If you are watching this after the fact, feel free to drop comments or questions as if you were here live, and I will do my best to answer them. And again, I truly appreciate the effort that is going into you guys growing this channel. I can see it right now that it's going to be an important part of things to come. So I really do appreciate that. All right. So there's some other stuff going on here too. And this is all kind of stuff that I really, really want to get. There is, underneath here, there's something. It's a log, or I don't know what it is, but there's something there. And it's got that kind of same brownish color. Well, again, here in Ohio, there's a lot of clay, and there's a lot of that turns into silt as it kind of rolls down the river. This little creek. So everything kind of has the same clayish color to it. So that's what I have here. It's like a ceramic, I don't know if you can see it. You'll see when I kind of put it on here. Oh, I've already got it started right here. So I want to get this in before I get too much farther, because again, I want this ultimately to be underneath everything. If I add this at the end, it's going to be floating on top, literally, and I don't want that. So a neat trick to kind of make this transparent, or when I'll show you that in a second because I got to put it in with the airbrushes. This area here has a kind of a bluish color. This blue color that you see behind everything, I'll spray this whole section with that, and then I'll go in and reclaim the tree reflections, and that will kind of bury this and give it the look that it, it needs, the top of the water. So Studio 543. You guys that's awesome too. I don't know, not that this is what you were implying, honey, but I don't know. I mean, unless I move Monday nights over here, I don't know that I can do another giveaway like I do on Monday nights over there. But now again, I know you're not suggesting that by the title. The title is awesome. I love it. My sister's, the name of my sister's company is 139 Handcrafted, and 139 is the number of the house we grew up in. I love that. I love that kind of thing where the number is, something really specific to, history, personal history. And of course, 543s have been a lot of fun. So that again would be a good way to include that. But back to the other thing. I think what we'll do for giveaways, because that's fun giving stuff away. I think for giveaways on the YouTube channel, it's going to be a different animal. Somehow different. I don't know. Participation awards or something. I don't know. All right. So again, this is a little bit lighter version of that same color. And again, I'm just kind of like throwing it in where I can get it, to kind of float between there. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the airbrush, and I'm going to mix up this kind of violety watercolor that's right here, and that's going to go in this section right here, this bottom section. And what's nice is I can drop that in now. Well, I should do this area down off the screen here, but it'll be fine. Painter's Underground, I like that too. It is, yes. Yeah, there was a troll floating around for a while. A little bit for me, but mostly for other people, and it was always the same dude, just causing trouble. So on one of my posts, I think I was talking about, the art. I forget what he called it. He called it a pit. So ever since then, it's been the art pit, or the underground art pit. So yeah, so that's a good one too. All right, let's do this. Let's mix this up. Again, I've had a bunch of questions about this particular thing. Focus that on that. This is a Rich Pen 222C, which is the base model for the Mike Learn Mojo airbrush. So Mike takes the 222C, the Rich Pen, and then just does all kinds of hot rodding to it to make it his own brush. And he actually sells these on his site. You can go to learnairbrush.com, or I think there's a site for Mojo Airbrush as well. So it's just a really nice brush, super high detail. And I've done this entire painting, all the airbrushing on this is done with this brush. So it's been quite the brush. Elite painting. That would make me too nervous, Chris. All right, let me mix this up. So, all right, let me look at this for a second. So talking about this on the Open Studio thing, how I kind of come at these colors here. So the number one thing for this color down in here is white. It starts off as white because it's got to cover a little bit. It's got to... let's take a step back here. There are some darker areas in here too, which are, it's obviously, stuff that's on the bottom of the creek bed. So I want to get that in first. So for that, I'm going to use the same blackish blue, but just in the airbrush version. So let's do that. If you don't use 543, you can use Painter Studio Underground. Yeah, that's also really good. And PSU is a good, whatever they call that. What do I need? I need black. So let me go with black. Paint across the pond. That's awesome too. Yeah, I knew you guys would come up with good ones. Paint and crumpets. Oh man. I also don't want to offend my British friends. I like that one, Franz, too. Yeah, you got it. Oh, I missed that one, Chris. Ace is the British term for awesome, and brilliant is used for excellent in the UK. So ace is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Plus, that's an excellent commercial too. All right, so this is this is black, but this one here is 20:1. So that's the really super reduced one. I normally save that for the Micron B. That's what I use that for, especially in portraits. But I need it for this because I need this to be transparent. Now, this is the other thing that Createx doesn't recommend doing, but for this I do for the transparency. Because that's opaque black in there, even though it's really reduced. I want to make that a little bit more transparent, but still have the body. So I add a little bit of 40/50 to it. And this is the 1:10 mix. So this has a lot of reducer in it as well. And finally, last but not least, the blue that I've been using is, where is it? This is blue, Wicked Blue Violet. Add a little bit of that in here too. This I want to just use a tiny bit of it. One, because this is a strong color. And two, all the other stuff that I've thrown in here is already pre-reduced. This paint I just put in here was basically straight out of the bottle. So it's going to have a much bigger impact if I go and put a whole drop in, it'll totally wipe out. It'll make this, just blue. So the way I tested, most of these brushes have like a chrome, they're chromed on the inside too. So you can pull it up on the side and it's really, really thin and you can kind of see the color. So this is still pretty black, but I think I'm going to go with it. Dan, what's up? Tea Time Tuesday, Tea Time Thursday. That's a good one. Createx and crumpets. All right. Okay, here we go. So you guys are in. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first I'm going to spray this out a little bit and see what it looks like. And yeah, it is too the opaque black has a brownish cast to it, which is great. I love it. But in this case, I need it to be blue. And that's not enough. So I'm going to take a little bit of cobalt blue, drop that on the palette. Again, if I put a whole drop of cobalt blue in here, it'll be blue. It won't be black anymore. So I'm going to put it on the palette first and then take a little bit of it and just put it in. That way I'm really controlling how much of that paint I'm putting in. Painter's Loft. Ah, look at that. It's an SL in the middle. That's neat. You know what'll happen, honey, when I build the new studio will be above ground. So that would be a good one for that. How long does it take a Vortex mixer to adequately mix a 2-ounce bottle? Neb, that's an excellent question. It depends on the paint. So the metallics, it still takes a while. So I have to get in there and, the metallics or the Hot Rod Sparkle and that kind of thing. You have to get in there. I use a bamboo meat skewer to kind of loosen up the paint at the bottom, the pigment. But say opaque black, a 2-ounce bottle, to adequately mix it, I would say no more than 15 seconds. Maybe 20 tops if it's been sitting around for a while. Those mixing beads that they put in there, plus the Vortex mixer, I mean, you're talking like hundreds of RPM. That thing's spinning around in there. So it mixes up really, really fast. These pre-reduced ones that I have, like these also have little glass mixing beads in them. When I throw these on, it's literally like 5 seconds because they're so thin that just immediately mixes them right back up. So yeah, if you want to check out, if you haven't seen it, the one I use is, I'll pull it out here. If you go to Bill Kennedy's Airspace YouTube channel, he does a review on this, and that's where I found it. So I have the Vortex, I will focus this so you can see it. Vortex VM370, and it's by Intel Lab. And that's what it is. This thing just rotates around like this, and but it does it at like, a a zillion RPM. All right, now we're good. Get back on this thing. Beauties. Yeah, even, but like I said, those, do I have one around here? Probably. No? Yeah, like I was using this Cosmic Sparkle Green for something. See at the very bottom of that, see that layer? That's the actual sparkle. And it is solid on the bottom there. And if I turn that little dark spot right there, that's the mixing bead. If I were to just shake this by hand, it would take forever. So what I do is I go grab a meat skewer, open up the bottle, and then down at the bottom here, I'll just dig all that up so it's suspended now. And then I'll put this on the Vortex mixer, and I'm telling you, like 20, 30 seconds, this thing, which, like I said, it would normally take, it would take a long time to hand mix this, just shake it by hand. So yeah, that mixer is one of those things, again, another one of those things, as soon as it breaks, I'm going out and buying another one. Just invaluable, really, really cool thing. Oh, good. Yeah, you're all set. Awesome. Yeah, I love that thing. Love it. I actually, it's small enough that I can put it in my my bin when I go on the road too. So I take it everywhere I go. All right, so now we should have. Yeah, that's good. So again, I just started spraying right in this area so I can kind of see what it looks like, and I want to see that blue. It wouldn't have been bad if it was brown, but I just kind of want the blue color in there because it'll mix a little bit nicer in the end when I put the other stuff over it. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of indicating now that it's difficult to see, but there's a modeling that's underneath everything in here, and that's kind of what I'm throwing in right now. This is a good color too. Since I got it in the brush, I can actually do some work up here as well, and that'll help blend out some of the darker paintbrush strokes too. Again, if I had brown, it would change the whole kind of look of the water. It would, if I used it enough across the water here, it would make the water look dirty. It would give it that really brownish look. By keeping it on a blue side, it keeps it really cool and works out. All right, so I'm just going to get this in, and it's really just kind of like dots, you know, soft, really soft dots, just to kind of give the impression that something's on the bottom of the stream bed here. What I want to try to do is not give it any kind of definite pattern. I just want to kind of be random with it. And there's other stuff that's going to be on top of this, so so if I do kind of hit a regular pattern, I can break it up later with the other things that are on top. And again, this paint is super, super thin, and obviously really transparent too. I have to move the camera a little bit so you can see the rest of it, because I can't move the canvas because it's basically cemented to the board with all those jumbo magnets. So I got to move the camera to get in the right spot. There we go. And make sure we're focused. There we go. Trevor, what's up? Oh, there we go. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah, I haven't used actually Tim's, but I know that brush. And I was able to do some pretty great things with that brush just out of the box. So I can just imagine. And Tim's brush speaks for itself, because you can, you know, just go on his feeds and watch, you know, with the performance he can get out of that. So that's great. And the biggest, for me, the biggest thing with that brush is it's only $150. So, and that's something that Badger has always done really, really well. You know, like I say it all the time, and even Ken says it, the owner. You know, they build daily drivers. That's what Badgers do. That's what they are. They don't build a supercar. You know, they don't build a car that, you'd be afraid to take out, of the garage. They build an airbrush that you can use every day. Not to say that, this brush you can't use every day, or a Micron you can't use every day, or that the spray for dollar is any different. I mean, I say it all the time. My oldest airbrush is an Iwata, and it's 30 years old, and it works like it's brand new. So you think about the thousands of hours I put on that brush and the $200 that it cost. It's literally like fractions of a penny. So it's not that. It's more that, you all right, if you drop a $150 airbrush on the floor, it's not going to hurt as much as if you drop a $450 airbrush on the floor. So it's that kind of thing. So for all those, brand name brushes, really what it boils down to is feel. If you get one that performs the way you want it to perform, some have different feels. Like the Rich Pen, this cup is closer to the trigger. So my finger touches the cup. And if you don't like that, you're not going to like this brush. It's stuff like that, Trevor, have a good one, man. Oh, are you leaving, Trevor? Oh, no. Honey's saying good afternoon, not goodbye. Sorry. I gotta open my eyes. Yeah, I think I still think it's funny, or not funny, but I actually enjoy it in a way that people are passionate about their brands. It's like sneakers, I guess, or cars, or whatever. There's just some people that are like, if you use anything else than this, whatever, XYZ brand, it's no good. I find it fun that's a thing in even airbrushing. I just like them all. I mean, I like to have them all. I like to try them all. I don't like them all. There are some I don't like about every one of them, and there's stuff I like about every one of them too. So again, you just kind of find the one that works the best for you. And a huge thing is you find one that's supported by the company and you can get parts. That's the thing. If you got those three things covered, you're all set. Because there's still every single day on like the new airbrush posts, new airbrush things on Facebook or whatever, people will buy those $20 airbrushes and then wonder why it's not working. And then, who do you call? So there's that. I'm just doing this. I'm not even paying attention. I should be looking. Yeah, see, I don't have to be doing all that because all this is leaves right here. So I don't have to do any of that right there. It's just a little bit down in here, which is good. I think I got enough of it, though, in this area. Yeah, I think I do. Okay, good. So that's it. So that's it for that. So I'm going to clean this out. I don't know, can you see that off? No, you can't. All right. So I have a little bit different setup now for the way I deal with paint. I can't show you that because it's too close. So I have one of those little spray out pots from, actually you can't see it in the big version, the overhead version. So this little guy here, this is one of those Medea spray out pots right there. Actually, let me do that. I'll switch to the big screen. All right. Here we go. So this is one of those Iwata spray out pots, which is kind of cool. So what I've been doing is I have a regular trash bin in the back of the site, or in the back of the student area right here. What I've been doing is when I go to spray out a color, to clean out a color, what I've been doing is I've been spraying the leftover paint into the trash bin. What's happening is that's kind of hitting the inside of the trash bin and just sticking and drying on the inside of the trash bin. And then what I can do is I can then flush it out into this guy right here. What I was doing was when I was flushing everything into this would fill up really fast and I'd have a lot of waste material. So I'm trying to find ways of kind of keeping this, not so much green, but just, you know, there's a lot of paint processed through here every day. So I'm trying to find the best way to kind of keep that under control. And this has really been working out well. So before I would have to almost empty this every day. But now, because I actually spray out the wet paint and then let it dry in the bin, I just have a little bit of material left in here at the end of the day. So that's working out really, really well. I used to spray into a gallon size paint mixing bucket. What'd that mean? There we go. Used to spray into a gallon size paint bucket with some paper towels in the bottom of it, but that was the same thing. I would spray the paint into that, but then I would spray the washout stuff into that too, and it was building up to a lot. I'd have like 5 or 6 of these buckets that I would have to let evaporate out before I could use them again. So yeah, so I'm slowly refining that whole mess. Let's turn that back on. Ah, beautiful. All right. So what was I doing? I was cleaning this out. The other thing I do too, so that's not what I want. The other thing that's kind of helped out a lot too. So after I spray out the bulk of the paint, I'll just go in with a you know, like a shop cloth, a lint-free shop cloth. Just kind of wipe out any residual, as much of the residual paint as I can before I actually flush it out. And again, that reduces the amount of material that I have to flush through the brush, which is good. And again, it's all about trying to minimize the overspray that's everywhere in the liquid material, I guess. I don't know if I told you guys, during the summer, what I would do is these buckets, these gallon buckets, I would put out on the, we have like a little patio thing. So I would leave them outside in the summertime so they'd evaporate faster. I left them out one night by accident, and raccoons stepped in it and then tracked little raccoon prints all over the patio. Because it's paint. I mean, I don't think they hurt themselves, but it certainly didn't drink it because it's paint, you know, and alcohol, rubbing alcohol. So anyway, I thought it was funny. Now that there are little painty raccoon tracks everywhere on the deck. Yeah, honey, that's really what's going on. All right, I've got that in there. Now what I want to do is I want to kind of, do I even need to do that? I may have lucked out. So the top skin of water, the top surface of the water is that color that's there. So I'm not going to do anything more to this. I was going to spray over the whole thing with this steel gray color to kind of, but that's going to work out just the way it is. I'm happy with that. All right. We're doing good? We are doing good. Okay. All right. So then it's more of the same. So now that I've got that locked in, again, that's the farthest back, essentially. That's the background of the water. Everything else is on top. All the reflections are literally on the top of the water. The leaves that are kind of floating, there's a couple, this leaf right here is underneath the water, just barely, but the other leaves are on top. A lot of these rocks here and the grass and all this stuff, this is on top of the water, not on top of the water doesn't cover this. So I want to get that other stuff, essentially the background, done first. Now I can add the rest of the junk on it. Raccoon Tracksman made a great picture. Yeah, it was cute because I mean, we live in the middle of, you know, rural Ohio, so there's lots of different animals. We have a pair of fox that have set up shop, which is a blast to see. But the raccoons are funny. And it's neat. They've gotten into the trash, but they don't make a mess. So I think there's, you know, plenty of other food around that they don't, you know, go nuts. But yeah, that was pretty funny. And hopefully the plan is the new studio is going to be built off the garage where that patio is. So that patio won't be the same anyway. So I'm okay leaving Raccoon Tracks there for now. All right. Back at it. What am I using? I could use this. All right, so back to that same brownish black. So now when I go to put the rest of these, you guys, in the right spot. Yeah. Put some of these other reflections in. Now I've got that stuff behind it already, so I don't have to worry about having to put that in after. This brush. This is the Winsor Newton Series 7. Focus for me, baby. There we go. Winsor Newton Series 7. This is the 0. I've been using the 0 on this painting because it holds more paint. I don't have to repalette it as often. And it still gives, you know, crazy, super sharp lines. Just want to make sure you guys can see where I'm painting. Yeah, you can. Okay, good. So I think the plan is I'll paint for a little while today, and then I'm going to take a break because I am out of prepared Yupo paper. So the Yupo paper that I use for the paintings that I showed you at the beginning of this feed, it's a synthetic paper, and it's really neat, but I spray them with Autoborn sealer. It's a gray sealer to prep them for the paintings. And I buy the Yupo sheets in large sheets and then just cut them down. So one sheet gives me, I don't know, 25 little panels for those paintings. So I have run out. So I have to prep new ones for this weekend because I got to do all the paintings for Monday. So that's probably what I'll end up doing after this feed. And then after that, maybe I'll jump back on this tonight. Again, I'd love to have this painting done this week. That would be stunning. We'll see, though. Do I have that back? Yeah, I do. Okay. Yeah, the 0 is beautiful. The size 0, it could, again, because it holds a lot of paint, you know, relatively a lot of paint, especially compared to the 00. So the 00 is more, I'd say, more controllable for super tight details. The 0 can pull off the same kind of job, but because it has a bigger belly in it, it tends to get out of control easier. But for this type of stuff where it's very organic, and even though I'm trying to be as accurate as possible, I don't have to be super like right on. I don't mind if there's a little bit of variation in what I paint and what's really there. But the nice thing is I don't have to constantly keep going back and repaletting the brush because the paint is, you know, drying out in the brush, which it would in the 00. So it's the same thing I tell everyone. You know, if you're going to buy these brushes or any small detail brushes, just get all the sizes. You know, I mean, you don't have to get all the sizes for this series, the 7s, because the 0 and the 00 do everything. But you know, the small brushes are inexpensive enough that because of their size that you can get all of them, and you know, you'll never regret it. It's better to have too many sizes than missing the size that you really need. I don't even need to be wearing the dirty glove right now because I'm not even on the painting, but just in case. So the dirty glove, even though it looks dirty, it's really not. It's just worn, and it's got overspray on it from airbrushing near it. So for those who don't know, if I go to put my finger on the painting, this just keeps the oils from my fingers from you know, imprinting on the panel. What'll happen is if that does happen, one, you don't want it. It's you know, not intended, and I mean, in the long term, you know, the oils can impact the archivalness of the painting. But what it does in the short term is when I go to put more paint on top of that, it'll resist the paint. It'll just bead up on top of the oil from my fingers. And the same thing with the clear. You know, at the end when I go to clear the whole thing, if there's a fingerprint on there, it'll resist the clear as well. So I try to keep it clean. All right, Enzo, have a great one, man. That's awesome. Oop, someone just buzzed. Thanks for dropping by, Enzo. Glad you got your painting. yeah, if you're, like I said, if you're watching this after the fact, I mean, you can still go on the site and see what 543s are available. But if you're watching this live, those ones that I showed you, those 3 are actually on the site right now. So. And I treat this the same way that I do, you know, most of the other paintings. So I'm painting in all the really dark areas first, all these really dark reflections, and then I'll go in with the airbrush and just kind of tie it all together. So hopefully you can see how stark this area is right here compared to this area up here. This area already has the airbrushing done to it, so this down here doesn't yet. So it feels very like, well, you can see the paintbrush work basically. There's no transition, there's no subtlety to it. So that all comes with the airbrush later. And again, for me, the goal is in the end that someone looking at this doesn't see either. You know, I don't want them to say, oh, that was done with an airbrush or that was done with a paintbrush. The goal in the end is to just have a good painting, you know? Yeah, it'll be fun when this one's done. I have a frame for this painting that I made way, way back when I started it. But this painting may be too much for that frame when I'm done. The frame is very simple, which is good. I mean, that was the intent. You know, I didn't want the frame to take away from the painting. But the frame is, what is going on with that? Stop it. The frame is very simple, like almost too simple. So I may lean on my cousin down in Georgia, who is not only a great artist, but also is a great framer as well. May want to run that one by him, see what he thinks for this one. Again, the longer I work on this, the more important this painting becomes across, you know, the whole career. Like I said, this painting will be one of those paintings that it'll define a moment, you know, or a series of moments in you know, in my journey. So it may need a more substantial frame. Oh, there's a whole snowball missing. There's no snowball there. I'm like, where'd that go? Dan, do you ever use UV-LS matte clear when you're done, or do you always use satin? Yeah, Dan, I used matte a couple times, but what I found was the matte clear changes it dulls the darkest darks, if that makes sense. I found that out on a black. I was painting well, if you guys remember that guitar pedal that I painted, the Jack White pedal, I built a stand for that. And I painted the stand black, and then I sprayed it with matte because I wanted it a matte finish, and it really looked gray. So I was afraid to use that on an actual painting because I don't want that to happen with a painting where the blacks, you know, the really super darks turn gray. So yeah, so I've been sticking with the satin almost exclusively, and then the gloss. It's not as glossy, obviously, as 2K. So it looks like, for me, the gloss looks like it's trying to be 2K. You know what I mean? And I hate things that feel unintentional. So I, you know, if I spray it and it looks like it's trying to be 2K, then that's not a good look for me. I'd rather just do 2K for that. Now that's probably user error more than anything. Like I've seen stuff Chris Arpin has done with the gloss and the new high gloss, and I just don't have those chops. So oh, that's not what I want to be doing. So that leaves satin for me. I know that's the long answer to your question, but yeah, so I've been finding that satin works really, really well. This whole area, back you guys out a bit here real quick. Yeah, so this whole area up here already has satin on it, and you can't tell. Actually, you can tell. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I was close. I was just about to pick this up, and I don't want to do that because I'll shift the photo and have to take 10 minutes to readjust it. But if I were able to tilt this, you'd see all the paintbrush work down in here and all the airbrush work because they have a different sheen to it. But up here, it's all even. But you can't tell. You can't tell the difference just by looking at it head on, that this has a clear on it and this doesn't. And I really like that. See, that's intentional to me. You know, it's like, that's what it's supposed to look like. You know, it's just like, I don't know. So yes, so the long answer is, or the short answer is, I like satin above all of them. But that's why, I guess. So, yeah. Dan's probably like, I just wanted a quick answer. All right, let's get this back in here, nice and close. Let's get super close. Let's see how close we can get. If I do this, I want to be more, you guys are going to be at an angle just because if I get you real close, the camera's right in front of the image and that's not working. See how close we can get. Ooh, that's pretty close. All right, let's do that. Get the final super close, up close and personal view. You guys are at a slight angle, but it's still, you guys will get a good feel. So this is going to be really good. So I'll put in this missing little blob of snow, and I'll show you how I do that with the Createx. What I would love, now we were joking for a while. I have this like black and umber color that I've been calling Blumber, and joking about how fun it would be to have actually that in a bottle. But if I could pick Createx to do one thing, and that wouldn't be it. What I would love them to come out with, just for me, is a paint brushable white. So an opaque white, but it's paint brushable. Now the airbrush paint, you can certainly brush with it, but again, like I said, the white paint isn't very opaque when you try to use a paintbrush with it. So you have to go over things a number of times. A regular tube of acrylic paints would cover a lot smoother and a lot better because it's meant to be used with a paintbrush. So again, I'm asking for Createx to come out with something that means nothing to their core idea of what they're doing. They're an airbrush company. They make airbrush paint. They don't make paintbrush paint. But if I could have them do anything, that's what I would do. Now, I mean, I know what someone's going to say. Why don't you just use a tube of white acrylic paint from Golden or whatever? And I could do that, but I kind of, from a purist standpoint, I really love that the entire painting is done with Createx. There's no other paint that's on here other than Createx. So that is the only reason why. It would be an excellent solution, and it would be an easy solution to just, I have it here, just to go grab a tube of Golden, Golden white, and use that. But so you see how it goes on kind of streaky, and I have to go over it a few times. I have to let it dry and then go over it again. It's just the nature of the beast for that. But there is our missing snowball. Raccoon tracks. That would make a good 543 though, honey. All right, so I gotta let that dry now. So that's because I can't do any more with it until it's dry. So we'll just keep rolling on with the other stuff. Back to the black. Now that I've got that little snowball in, I can kind of start working around it, and I can just darken it, or not darken it, but I can just intensify that as I go. And if you're not used to kind of disconnecting and just painting what you see, not trying to figure it out. A painting like this is a lot of fun because you just kind of get into just like saying, okay, there's a triangular spot right there. So I put that triangular spot right here. When you're done and you sit back a little bit, you say, oh, that's a reflection of a branch. You don't even know you did it. And it's really enjoyable. And it also, it makes just some, just nice surprises while you're working. For me, it happened with some of the reflections that are off. You can't see them, they're up here. But some of the tree reflections, I was just kind of painting what was in the water and not really paying attention to what they were. And when I sat back, I could see the whole reflections of the trees in the water, and that was a really kind of a fun thing. It was just neat to have that happen. So. This house that the creek is on was sold at an auction end of summer-ish, middle of summer, something like that. So the couple that bought it, they're great. They've done a lot of work to the place. But they haven't touched this is basically their backyard, this stream. But they haven't done anything. They left this area. I mean, they've cleaned it up a little bit. There was some, fence posts and stuff that were knocked down and things like that. They cleaned all that up, but they didn't do too much to the whole area. So, and that's the appeal of this particular house and yard, this creek that runs through the backyard. So I'm happy because they could have cleaned it. There's another house. This creek keeps winding down the main street. And where it moves into one of the other yards, I mean, it looks beautiful, but they've cut the edges of the creek, so it's very clean and it winds through their property, and it's mowed grass on both sides. It looks beautiful, but it also doesn't look real. It doesn't look like this. It doesn't look, Tube Thursdays with SL. That's awesome, Franz. So I'm really happy that they've kind of kept it the way that it was supposed to be. The house itself is gorgeous too. It's a very small house, but it's designed to fit on this property with the stream and everything. It really fits in there well. And there's a back sliding patio door type setup that looks out over this creek. So it's just a really neat place. So I'm glad the new owners decided to keep it the way it was intended by the builders, because it's not like any other house on the street. It's completely unique. I love it, you guys. That's great. Thank you for the suggestions. I will come up with something sooner or later. Or maybe never. Maybe it'll always just be I don't know, Thursday painty time. Yeah, it's too bad. Open Studio would be a great one if I hadn't already used it. Yeah, there's a lot going on down here. I knew this whole area was going to be, the brakes were going to be put on when I got to this area. There was just so much going on right here. And it's perfect. Like I said, that's the money part of this painting, really. It's where it all kind of comes together. What's going on right here in this small area, describes the entire rest of the stream. You see the rocks, you see the leaves, you see the organic debris like the branches and stuff like that, and then it sets up the entire rest of the stream. Then you look up the stream and you understand what you're seeing, even though it's really not there. It's more implied. So getting this section down here right is going to be, important, I guess. What time we got? 2:30. Probably going to stop it pretty soon. Yeah, why don't we stop it here? An hour and a half is probably good. And like I said, that'll still give me time to get those 543s prepped, because that's a process, because it takes a while to put the coats on it and everything. And zip you guys out so you can see the whole thing. Well, it's not really the whole thing, is it? Oh, let's do that. That's the whole thing. I'm going to move that light too in a second, so you get the... There we go. Let me turn this off so you don't get the glare. But actually, before I do that, so the glare, you can see, to answer your question about the satin, so that glare you see is off of the satin. But if I move that light down, you wouldn't see the same glare on the bottom half. But there you go. So that's where we're at. It's coming together. It really is. Finally. Again, I have no idea how long the rest of this is going to take, but I'm cautiously optimistic for, Monday night maybe to show this painting done. That would be awesome. It's going to depend on the 543s and how those go. Usually I have a better handle on those by now, but I haven't done them yet, so working on that. But that's where Island Creek is right now. So I'm happy. I'm happy with that. Actually, can't see the bottom. There we go. Now you can see the bottom. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Thanks, Cody. Thank you. A lot of titles considered. Yeah, thank you. Honey, thanks. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. And like I said, this Thursday feed has been great. Just to be able to kind of open up the doors and just kind of, it's nice not worrying about, like Mondays I worry about what I'm going to do. I make sure I, have something lined up and it's all, whatever. But Thursdays I just turn the camera on, which is a lot of fun. So let me switch you guys over to this one and move that out of the way just in time. So that's what we got. All right. So again, thank you all for hanging out. Thanks for liking and subscribing and doing all that fun stuff and clicking that bell icon. Tell everyone you know. I would very much appreciate that. Again, I would really love to get the numbers equal across the board for all the social media platforms, so that when the time comes to make the jump, which it probably will by the way things are going, the YouTube channel will be strong. That's the goal. So yes, so thank you for all that. And that's what I got. So next Monday on Facebook, as usual. And then look for a new episode of Open Studio next Thursday. And then I'll be back live Thursday here as well. So that's what we got. All right, kids. Thank you. I'm going to get back to work. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot.